Hey guys, I'm back again, and today I've got Rohit with me, and the entire profile has been pasted inside the description. Big profile to mention, so I won't go word by word, but I will just give you an overview. He's an alumnus of ISB Hyderabad, and he's working with Vodafone India, for a long time now, and a kind of a person whom everybody will want to approach and will have a talk to. If you want to have a heart to heart kind of a conversation, do go on the LinkedIn profile and say him hi just right away, abhi ke abhi. And I welcome you, Rohit, and thank you for taking our time on Saturday.
My pleasure, Rishikesh. Always happy to have a great conversation. Of course, we've connected earlier as well, and we've had some pretty good conversations. So I'm excited to do this with you as well.
Right, Rohit. So very quickly, we'll take up the first question that we
Sure.
have already decided is that Rohit is going to talk a little bit about the importance of mental health and physical health for salespeople.
Yeah. So in sales, right, it's one of the most high stress professions that you can pick up. And what that means is you have to take care of your mind and your body. So being physically fit, of course, any profession, even as a rule in life, having some sort of physical activity and some sort of exercise definitely will help you. It also helps strengthen your mental health. Mental health, in an increasingly complex world where on social media we binge watch, um, it will be interesting for anyone to understand how the mind reacts to the way we interact um, with the digital media nowadays, how we interact with social media, and what are the side effects. So it's also very important to have good mental health and take care of your mental health. Understand what are the things that are good for your mind, good for your body, and what will help you stay fit. When I and specifically to sales, right? You are selling to a person, you are selling yourself, you are going to be facing a client or a prospect. It's important that you look smart. It's important that you dress smart. When you have good mental health and good physical health, you automatically exuberate that confidence, um, that good energy to have a conversation and then bring in a feel good factor and help build a good relationship and then win a deal or win a sale.
That's right, and Rohit, what about this connection between physical and mental health? And would you like to talk a little bit about the initiatives which are usually taken by corporates all across to make sure that their employees do
So now in the lockdown, I think we've been forced to face all our inner demons, all our mental health, our physical health, our relationships at home. Usually, getting out of the house has been a good escape from not facing these things, right? Um, what I would say is driving mental health or physical health at the corporate level, it has to be done as a behavior. So, what do you get out of a 1 hour session that's held by your L&D or your HR team or something of that sort? How effective is that 1 hour session? You're now during lockdown and while you're at home, you're probably going to join from on a video call, on a video conference. Are you going to be paying attention for that entire 1 hour? Are you going to absorb everything that's being taught or being explained, and then are you going to use that in your daily life? I think I think that will be very critical in terms of actually changing physical and mental health behaviors. A lot of these sessions now they are in trend, and as I mentioned to you before, they are what I like to call tick mark activities, right? So it shouldn't just be about, yeah, let's do a session on managing stress, handling burnout, um, or finding work life balance, how you can manage the space, but it's also about how are you changing behavior of your employees or your colleagues? How are you changing your work culture so that you're enabling your workforce to actually start finding more balance in life, and also finding that space where they can take time off to manage stress and manage their mental well-being and physical well-being. I think that is more critical than just doing multiple sessions and saying, yes, we have trained everyone.
That's true. So it should be more than the tick mark stuff, which is
Yeah, because
often.
see, if I do a session today on, say, stress management, if I don't drive that as a behavior, I mean, being healthy is you have to get up every day, or you have to set aside 1 hour time whenever you like to work out or anything, right? You say, okay, 40 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour of physical activity. That's a habit that you have to develop. So that means and they say, right, 21 days becomes a habit. You have to do that first for 21 days, then it becomes a habit. And then you have to ensure that every day after that you're doing it. That's not easy, and it won't just come from doing a 1 hour session. It's going to take practice and then bringing that in as habit into your life so that you actually make time for it.
That's true. It's very important, to build up that habit, and
Yeah.
habit takes 21 days at least.
Yeah. So the way I ensure that I don't skip on my at least my walk is I got a dog, and he's a very high energy Labrador Rottweiler mix. So I have to walk him for 1 hour in the morning. Otherwise, he's going to create havoc at home. So that's one way in which I ensure that get my 1 hour exercise in the morning. I have to take my dog out for a walk. These are things. It helps me, but to each their own. Find ways in which you know that whatever you do, you're going to ensure you dedicate that time which you set aside for your physical and mental
That's true. Very helpful, actually. Now, coming to the question of MBA, one of the most sought after degree, across the
health.
world. But you did your MBA after 7 years of your graduation. Uh, what was the reason behind it, and what made you, go for an MBA?
So the first thing was I didn't want to get married, and my parents kept saying, "Yeah, okay, it's time to get married," and I said, "No, no, first I'll do my MBA, right?" But that's on the lighter side. On a more serious side, I started work soon after engineering, and my engineering performance was something for the history books itself. In the way I kind of scraped through, um, and then I even reached a point where I was about to lose a year, and that was the real jolt, right? I said, okay, I'm not going to lose a year of my life just for this engineering degree, and so of course I got my act together and I finished my engineering in 4 years, and then I moved back home to Bangalore and I started working for cable and wireless at the time. I worked my way up and I kept moving up the ranks, taking on more responsibilities, taking on more roles. It was a great journey. Maybe after around the end of the fourth year, um, there were still a lot of questions that were unanswered. When I thought about my career over the long term, there was still a lot of potential I felt wasn't being realized as quickly as it could have been, and I wanted to get that accelerated. I also There was also so many things that I didn't understand about how the world works, how do businesses operate, how do businesses work, what is marketing, what is sales, what is finance, what is economics, and I wanted to answer. I wanted to get answers to these questions. So actually, pursuing an MBA after 7 years of working was, for me, a quest to fill in all these gaps. It gave me a good opportunity to take a break for 1 year, get out of that work-life grind, go back into college life, and then I understood. Okay, then I learned about economics, macro, micro. I learned about marketing. I learned about negotiations. I learned about corporate finance. Uh, and why I mention these four is because these are important skills that I've learned or I had interest in, and these help fill in those gaps I had in my mind about things that I wanted to know about. So it helped me accelerate my career. It helped me fast track things. I probably gained maybe 2 or 3 years, um, as opposed to if I hadn't done my MBA, I probably gained around maybe 2 or 3 years from it. It also helped me make that big shift, especially if you're looking at making a change. So if you work for 5 years and you want to make a career change, um, if you do an MBA from a good B school, it's a very good opportunity to make that change. Because once you have that, you might not have the skill set for that uh, career that you want to make the switch, but getting that MBA, one is it gives you that opportunity of 1 year to learn, maybe fill in some sort of skill gap or knowledge gap for the role that you want or the career that you want, and then you get that stamp of a good B school. It it helps you get opportunities to get those conversations to make a career change. So these are things where the MBA benefited and will benefit someone who's pursuing it later in their lives.
That's true. And now, since the MBA is just round the corner, a number of people will be joining B schools, for the next
Hmm.
calendar year. So
Oh, okay.
your
Hmm.
experiences at one of the best institutions, across India and across the globe, that is ISB. How was your experience there?
So uh, ISB was ISB was built to meet global standards and to have an MBA program. So they decided we will take out all the internships that people do, and we will take out time off and breaks and those big projects that everyone does, and we will compress everything into 1 year. So the entire 2 year MBA was compressed into a 1 year program, right? So someone like me, um, it kind of de-risks taking a break from my career. So it's a 1 year program rather than me taking a break for 2 years. I've done it in 1 year. Um, the way the curriculum is built, the kind of faculty, the kind of diversity in admissions, um, ISB looks for people who are all rounders, and when they hire, and for them the academic process, uh, the interactions that they encourage in the classroom uh, depends heavily on having a diverse class. So they look for people from multiple walks of life, multiple backgrounds, multiple educational qualifications, and various years of experience. So that's one big positive over there. Of course, then um you have global faculty. The curriculum itself and the way academics is pursued there, it's very open. It's very in line with the West. You can be a very you can be very academically focused and a bookworm and go and do research and research and research, and you can learn a lot, or you can learn through interaction, learn through conversation. And so the ISB program is very flexible in that way. And for me, who had joined after 7 years, there was no way, after 7 years of working, there was no way for me to compete with all these young kids out of college with 1 or 2 years of experience, right? As you get older, your stamina and your energy, a lot of your youth has also left you when you worked in IT for 7 years. So, um, uh, from that perspective, I brought in something unique to the program, and I also learned so much more from it. And I think people pursuing their MBAs now, they should look for these. They should look for these things rather than just looking for that degree line item on your resume to help you get a job. The more people, and unfortunately in our country, the situation is such that everyone's doing something, right? Everyone's doing an MBA, so that has become like the base expectation, right? Um, now to look for a candidate in the market to hire, the base expectation is okay. You have to have an MBA. because everyone is going and doing an MBA. So uh, while the it's very important to increasingly differentiate yourself, because nowadays, so now what I'm trying to say is, even getting that MBA degree is unfortunately not enough. It's about differentiating yourself. What else can you do? Because you go to an interview and you say, okay, I have an MBA degree. So does everyone. So does everyone else who's applied for this job. So these are things we have to be careful of and ensure that we're doing. If we're pursuing something, we're doing it for the right reasons.
Absolutely, that's so enlightening actually. Uh, the next question is on team development. You know, you have grown, across ladders. In
Mhm.
Vodafone, you must have been developing a number of team. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll split this into two aspects, the team and the individual. Okay. Now, when looking at the team, or when looking at the team as in like an organism, then it's about, okay, what's my vision for the team for the year, for the financial year? What is Where do I start? Where am I starting? What's my starting point? Where do I want my team to be at the end of the year in terms of um, performance, in terms of skill set, in terms of behaviors? What goals are we going to achieve? What is aspirational for us? Okay, and then lay that out in a plan. So then you do your quarterly, half yearly, and your yearly plan. Then you have to understand that this organism of your team is individuals who all have different experiences, different backgrounds, different skill sets, different behaviors, different personalities. So you have to go down to the individual level. And having a conversation with an individual starts with a vision. When you get someone to understand your vision, then they know how they're contributing by achieving something. They know how they're contributing to that vision. Then you ask them what are their personal goals, what is their personal vision, what are their skill gaps, what do they want to learn in the next 12 months, and then you align that to where the team needs to be. And more often than not, these things are quite similar, because if you're looking at a team that does a particular task, say some technical team, they handle a particular technology. More often than not, on average, the entire team is going to have one particular skill gap, and all of them will want to fill that particular skill gap. So you can also execute for the entire team, even if it's an individual's aspiration, right? So, and that's the way. So when the individuals in your team understand how they are contributing to that vision, there's motivation, and they understand, because you shouldn't have someone, or even you, when you're working, you shouldn't go to work every day without knowing what you're doing. Why are you doing what you're doing? And that becomes purpose. So, and then okay, if I am doing this today, this is how it's helping achieve this goal or this vision for the team. And all this gets formed or needs to be put into this big bubble of giving feedback regularly, or rather that should be like the airbag or the cushioning, where you give feedback regularly, so that, and you coach everyone in the team, and you say, okay, this is what you did, this is what you can do better, this is how you work on this, and this is how you can change, and you keep people on course that way. Giving feedback is the most difficult thing to do, because you have to prepare for it. You have to govern correctly, you have to track progress regularly, make sure that you are doing enough research into individuals performance, so that you can give that feedback. It's not done very effectively in a lot of organizations. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of leaders and managers, but it is one of the most critical things to ensuring that everyone's moving in that direction to meeting that your goal for the year and your vision for the year.
That's true, and it actually reminds me of that three circle thing which actually Simon Sinek talks about, that you should know why first of all, right?
Yeah,
And then you can move on to what and how.
the his Start with Why book, right?
Yeah.
It's on my reading list. I haven't been I haven't read it as yet, but I hope to get to that very soon. And I think he used the example of I saw a video on I saw a YouTube video of Simon Sinek talking about why, and he showed how a normal company markets a product and how Apple markets a product, right? And he said Apple starts with why. That's why they're successful at selling their products. Yeah. So
So,
I
so
remember those three
no
circles.
offense to Simon Sinek, Rohit, but half of the book is about Apple only. I don't know,
Probably,
whether the case study
yeah.
fits into that
I
only or
haven't
not.
read it. I haven't read it, but looks like a very effective marketing campaign that Apple's launched. Then, right? If they've got Simon Sinek to talk about Apple for half a book, so good for them, not bad.
Yeah. So before Apple comes, and actually sues us, let us move on to the next
Yes,
question.
yes, yes. Let's go ahead.
Yeah. So my next question is about customer success and cross selling. What is it like? What is customer success? What is cross selling?
So I'm trying to understand what's the best place to start when we talk about customer success, right, and cross selling. Then you come into concepts like solution sales, consultative sales, etc. Cross selling is all about cross selling is all about you start your conversation with one base product, and then you build on that and you sell more products, right? um, or you start by selling a product in one vertical or one line of business. You show success in it, and then people from or stakeholders from other lines of business, they also start buying that product. So you start increasing the penetration or the market share that your product has in that particular case. um, so cross selling, there are so many situations where I can think about cross selling and upselling. If you keep your focus on increasing the size of the pie, then you're automatically thinking, okay, how do I sell more? How do I add in more products? Then you understand. So then the concepts of, do you understand business problems? Do you understand business goals of the organization or the line of business that's going to use the solution or the product, right? And then, because when you understand that, then you start having that conversation. And we have to take ourselves away from this mindset of, this is my product catalog, tell me what you need. Nobody's Because you're limiting yourself drastically. Then either they might find something that interests them and they'll say, oh yeah, let me look at this, can you share me a quote? Or the buyer will say, oh, I don't see anything, I've already got all this, and I don't need your products or I don't need your services at this point in time, but we'll keep you in mind and we'll call you the next time there's a requirement, right? When you start with addressing a problem statement and you understand the organization's problems, your whole conversation itself starts with, I have helped solve so and so problem for so and so organization, and our product, our solution delivered this much savings, this much additional revenue, or it increased top line by this much, it reduced bottom line by this much. When you have that conversation, you're automatically creating a very big opportunity for yourself to actually sell something and actually win a sale. So I would say, um, focus on addressing the problem rather than selling the product. you will automatically increase your the size of your opportunity and the scope of products that you can sell into that organization or to that particular customer. I hope that somehow answers your
Absolutely.
question.
Absolutely. And now I will be coming to cold calling, cold calling. And I would like Rohit, to take those two examples, like jahan pe, one salesman is like dull, okay, hi sir, and then hello sir.
I really hate cold calling, and I was hoping we could avoid this question. Okay, but think about how you feel when you get spam calls from some bank or from a telecom operator, or you get from some FMCG company, SBI, Bajaj. Oh, I shouldn't take names. Sorry. I mean, those are culprits on my calling list. Okay. I'm calling from so and so, and do you want a loan? Do you want a credit card? We're offering free credit card for life.
Uh,
Uh,
Rohit, just one thing to add, like, I am Poonam calling from XYG Bank, and if you deposit 5 lakh, it will get converted to 10 lakh in 50 years.
yeah. Thankfully, I haven't. Okay. Thankfully, I haven't had calls like that so far. Thank God. But mostly, I get. Do you want personal loan and do you want free credit card for life? Those are the two big culprits. And yeah, Bajaj is biggest spammer. Sorry to say, and SBI is second on my calling list in terms of spam. So, and this also is about this also addressing this question, right? And you said the two examples again. Mental health and physical health also play a part in the way you interact. So you call someone, hi Rishikesh, I would like to sell so and so product. Um, do Are you interested? I will send you SMS and you can call back. Or you say, hi Rishikesh, how are you doing? It's so nice to speak to you. Um, we have this great product or service that we think will really benefit you, really change your life. If it's okay, I can take a little more time of yours and explain the whole solution to you and how this would benefit you. You're automatically more interested, right? So when your mental mindset is positive, you will automatically be able to have a positive conversation because you will feel confident, your self-esteem will rise, you'll be able to have that conversation. And then the second thing would be practice. You practice that statement, you have to, and then you repeat that statement to yourself and you understand, are you yourself willing to respond to that statement positively and actually take an action which would result in closing a sale, closing a meeting, closing a conversation. That will really help.
That's true. So practice is so much important, right?
Yes.
And practice along with preparation. Um,
Yes.
we'll come to that again, actually, Rohit, when we will be, dealing with the question on, how to sell to C-level people.
Yeah.
But before that, I would like to know, a little bit of MBA definition stuff from you. So what is solution selling like?
So a solution selling is and this is not an MBA definition. Okay. This is like my wife came to me one day with a problem in Excel, and I said, I don't know Excel. How am I supposed to solve this problem? And she said, but isn't that what you learn in your MBA? Yeah, and that wasn't a very great moment for me. So solution selling is a concept of sales where you will focus on bundling multiple products and then addressing a problem statement. Your video has frozen. Did I lose you? Sorry. Yeah. Oh, okay. Mm, yeah. So what I was saying, yeah, solution selling is you you focus on a problem statement and then you focus on stitching together or bundling multiple products to provide a solution. So that becomes your solution sale. Okay. Um, in a solution sale, and as I said earlier, right, you address the problem. Again, here in solution selling, you are providing a solution to a problem statement or to a business problem. uh, and as I said earlier, you automatically increase the size of the pie. Whereas earlier, and in most cases, maybe the even the buyer would have thought, I need to piece together a solution, and they probably have called multiple service providers, vendors, operators, etc., and they've said, um, "You give me this piece, and you give me this product, and you give me this product," and they probably thought, "I'll do this myself and build this myself," and they probably don't even have the expertise to do it. So when you go and say, this is your problem statement, and I will help solve that problem by bundling all these products together. I'll manage it for you. I'll provide additional services. You've immediately you've immediately solved an additional problem where your buyer, your prospect doesn't have to manage the entire solution after you've delivered it. So these are the advantages of using that solution sales approach to selling a particular to selling into a particular organization.
I got it. And trust me, Rohit, you can be a very great professor, right?
Don't have the patience. I don't think I have the patience to teach. Maybe when I'm old and wise, I might think about it, but not at this point. Not at this point in time.
Right. So, the very next question is, Rohit, job, passion, and hobby. How can these be connected? Complementary, supplementary, whatever. Right.
So I struggled with this concept, or this question of what is my passion. And then, because I thought, oh, if I find out what I'm really passionate about, and then how do I find a job that uses my passions? um, I have found the golden formula: great career success, no problems in life, I'll be earning all the money in the world, I'll be the happiest person. Life is not so easy. Um, and life is going to continue changing. You're going to keep getting new problems thrown at you. Okay. So my passion for communication, and my passion for speaking to people, connecting, um, having these heart to heart conversations, maybe philosophical conversations, or just intellectually stimulating conversations about any topic. Because for me, learning something new is it's something that I value a lot. So a lot of what I'm passionate about is about connecting to people and having conversations with people. That is the link that I get between my passions and my job currently as a sales professional. In terms of hobbies, I've been trying to do a lot of new things. Of course, with the lockdown, um, things got stale. I couldn't um, I couldn't pursue any of my older hobbies because I just had no interest in them. And I need to keep things fresh in my life. So over the last year, I've tried to bring in new things. I'm trying to do some DIY stuff, uh, some basic carpentry, learn how to use a drill, learn how to use a Dremel, using resins and acrylics, just basic stuff. At least eliminating the need for calling a carpenter to the house for now is one small goal that I've achieved. Um, so, and then interestingly, I haven't been able to read a novel for maybe the past 1 year, 1.5 years. I haven't been able to read a book because for me it was, I needed to do something new. You reach a point in life, and of course, I'm already in my mid 30s, mid to late 30s. Things stagnate. and you want to freshen things up. You need something fresh in life. So I haven't read a book for the last year. I want to. I've kept a list, a wish list, etc. And I know that soon one day I will say, okay, want to read a book. But I've been using other media to try and learn. So podcasts are something that I've picked up. Now my morning walk for 1 hour, I'm listening to a podcast, and I found out that it's actually something that has been benefiting me because I've been listening and I'm learning. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I don't and when I say YouTube videos, I have looked for specific topics. I look for specific interests. Uh, Subscribe to those channels and then I watch those videos. So I'm constantly learning something new or increasing the depth of knowledge I have in a particular field or on a particular topic. This is the way. And of course, I love my PC gaming. Um, that's another indulgence of mine. That's my guilty pleasure at this point in time because every time I sit and game for maybe an hour, I feel guilty at the end of it. I feel, oh, 1 hour that I've spent gaming and doing nothing, but still something that I love to do. So that's my bit on hobbies and passions.
Yeah. And Rohit, we've got one question from Parag. He's asking like, in solution selling, do we have to ask problem first, or giving solution and then addressing the problem will be more helpful?
See, it starts with a lot of homework, um, and it starts with a lot of information gathering. When I say, so you don't go and say, okay, tell me what your problem statement is. That's not the way you do it. To reach that point, you have to find the problem statement. So it starts with you have to meet multiple people within that organization from the lower ranks. And I would say go as far as to even speak to the security guy. You'll be very surprised to learn something new from even the security guy. And an example of this is I understood how visitor management works in a particular organization because I spoke to the security guy and I was able to pitch a visitor management solution. So start there, understand the way the organization works. If you have gone to a B school, find out your alums, find out alums who work in that organization and have a conversation with them. Just ask them, okay, what's your work like? What's your work culture like? What is this leader saying? What is that leader saying? You build this big repository of information. You condense it down and you understand this is a problem this organization might have. Then you have a problem statement and then you go pitch. So solution selling is not necessarily about they have given you your prospect has given you the problem statement, so you go and you pitch a solution. Sometimes they will sometimes when you go and speak to your prospect and you have proactively identified a problem that they probably didn't even know existed in the organization, and then suddenly they realize, my goodness, I didn't even realize there was this problem, and I actually have a solution here to solve this problem also, and you're immediately generating interest. So start with doing that research. Know everything about the organization from top to bottom, and depending on the size of the deal you're pursuing, uh, automatically the amount of research and homework you have to do increases exponentially.
So I think Parag, your question has been answered quite well. If you have got any follow-up questions, you can post it here. We'll put it to Rohit. Now, coming back to the last part of the interview is about the hiring thing, right? And it can be for an entry level role or for a mid level role. Your thoughts on that, and what are some of the key attributes that you look in a candidate while you're hiring?
So for an entry level role, so I would say as someone who's a fresher with no work experience, maybe did some 3 month internship when they were doing their MBA or doing their undergrad or something of that sort, um, and say they want to do sales, or this could be for any role for that matter. First is I would understand, okay, what's the energy you're bringing to the conversation? Are you excited? Are you excited about sales? Why do you want to be in sales? Then the second thing I would understand is, are you able to sell yourself to me in that conversation? Because uh, selling is about selling yourself more than selling your product or your solution or whatever you have to sell, right? Because people will buy from people that they like. Can you sell yourself to me? And can you convince me that even though you have no experience, I can give you an opportunity to work in a sales role? Then I would understand how honest, how sincere, and how clear are you in terms of the gaps in your experience, in terms of your skills. Those are the next few things I would gauge from a conversation, because if you understand your gaps and if you understand where you're lacking, then I know that you are going to focus on building those gaps quickly and learning those skills, and ensuring that you are competent in that particular role. So these are a few things that I will look for from a fresher. When we talk about mid-level sales, um, apart from understanding, okay, what's your experience been like? So there would be a lot of situational based questioning, or questioning based on experience. So there's a particular situation that I would put the person in and then understand, okay, how did they deal with that situation, or just to understand basic skills of sales or account management. And then the next thing would be, how good are you at problem solving? Because the skills of the future will require innovation, managing complexity, and problem solving. Life is about dealing with problems and solving problems. So I will want to understand, how good are you at problem solving? How good are you at managing complexity? Um, because the world is it's increasingly complex. Um, the need to customize is becoming more and more important for businesses. Everyone wants to get down to the individual level to market to you individually, right? So you have to think about, even when you're selling to an enterprise in a B2B environment, customizing to sell to that organization. These are things that are complex. So I will understand, okay, how do you deal with complexity? Then I would want to understand, what are your negotiation skills? How good are you at negotiating? Are you able to, uh, given a particular situation where ideally you would exit at, say, a value of 1, can you exit at a value of 1.1 or 1.2, 1.3, in terms of just any basic value? So then I would want to understand, what is your elevator pitch? And this would be both for the fresher and for the mid-level sales guy. So I would say, okay, what's your 30-second sales pitch? What is your elevator pitch? So they'll tell me 30 seconds, okay, this is so and I'm so and so, these are my strengths, skills, etc. Then I would say, okay, the elevator crashed. You have 30 minutes. Can you elaborate on your pitch? And then I'd gauge and understand. Because if this person has practiced, then they'll be able to elaborate for 30 minutes on their 30-second pitch, right? So this is how you gauge, this is how I would gauge a candidate and understand if they meet these certain criteria.
I got it. Quite elaborate, like guys. This is really helpful for both entry level and mid level guys. Now, the last question, which is $1 million question, is that how do you sell to C level people?
So as I said earlier, right, to a question from Parag, if I'm not wrong, about problem statement, a 5-minute conversation could take you 6 months to prepare, or it could even take you a year to prepare. Sometimes it takes more than a year as well. You have to understand everything about that organization. That means, uh, your morning news. So if you spend 20 minutes reading the news every morning, at least half of that time needs to be spent reading news about your target accounts or client accounts or that prospect, including the individual that you want to finally meet, eventually meet, know what they are doing, because most C levels do have some sort of public presence, public persona, um, for them to be able to seen as leaders in the market. They give interviews, they speak to financial analysts, they do interviews on CNBC, etc. Keep a track of these things, look at the interviews they're doing. Then you will start understanding, okay, this is what this so and so person is made of, this is what he or she is prioritizing, these are the things that are at the top of their mind. Okay, these can become talking points when you finally have the conversation, even if you don't have a solution, or the products you're selling, the service you're selling doesn't directly address what's on that person's mind. Just the fact that you know about it becomes a talking point. Who knows, they may, if you got a 5-minute opportunity to speak to that a C level leader, if you've kind of struck a note by raising these points of interest, it may become a 15 or a 20-minute conversation. So do your research. So one is, it starts with googling, um, reading the news, being up to date on everything that's happening with that individual and with their organization or the market they're in, the industry they're in. Then look at the financial statements of that particular organization. You will, if you understand how to read financial statements, it's a very important skill in selling. Because if you can pick out saying, okay, cost of goods sold was so much, that means this guy is okay. What if cost is so high? You should understand that this number is really high, and why is it so high. Then individual line items, they will even talk about expenses. Some financial reports or some annual reports also have expenses on employees. They have expenses on specific items. How much are they spending on property, plant, equipment? What is, what kind of depreciation have they taken on their books? Understand everything in that financial statement, because then from there itself you'll be able to identify a problem, right? You identify maybe 2 years, when you analyze, sorry, 2 years or 3 years of financial statement, you immediately understand where that organization is moving. So if my revenue has grown by, say, 10% year on year, 5% year on year, say some other line item has gone down 5%, 10% year on year, you need to understand why that has happened. So very important to understand financial statements. So as you do this research, and then the third thing is, you meet as many people as you can from that organization. You don't have to they don't necessarily have to be your prospect. You should just have that interest to meet that person, because you might even find one statement that will give you some insight into the organization that you can use later on when having a conversation where you're pitching a solution, or you're pitching a sale, or you're working on an opportunity with that particular organization. So, again, everything comes back to preparation, practice, and, being patient and taking the time to do it. When you get that, if you implement these things, you get that 5-minute opportunity, 10-minute opportunity to pitch to that particular C level. You're increasing your chances of success drastically based on the research you did. Now, imagine a situation where you didn't prepare. You go to a C level meeting, say somehow for some reason you were able to get 30 minutes of time from that meeting. What are you going to talk about in that meeting? Now, and imagine the time. Imagine how important time is for a particular C level individual or a leader. If that person has been able to give you 30 minutes of their time for some reason or the other, and if you are not able to capture them, or capture their share of mind, capture their mindset in that conversation, in the first 5 minutes or first 10 minutes of the conversation, you've lost that leader for maybe for the next year, or I would say forever, because it will be very difficult for you to get a second meeting. But I'll say for now, just for the next year, until you figure out a way to get to have a second meeting with him and then pitch perfectly after practicing.
Or guys, you wait for the CEO to change.
That's another possibility. Yes. And then when you go for that meeting, you say, "Yeah, I met your predecessor. We had a really strong relationship. He was on the verge of giving me a new business, and he was going to issue the PO also."
Has happened a number of times actually. And
Haha,
then
he was my friend.
some guy from the accounts team will come in between. Right. Great session indeed, Rohit. Now, one last question. You're basically from Bangalore, but now you're living in Delhi for quite long time
Delhi,
now.
yes.
Yeah. And how has been the transition been? And was it really difficult for you?
So I think the biggest thing was the culture shock. The culture in Delhi very different from the south and from Bangalore. Okay, the language barrier was very big because my knowledge of Hindi was almost bare minimum. Whatever a few dialogues I remember from watching Hindi movies. Okay, in fact, my first day of work over here, I got scammed by an auto guy because I didn't know Hindi. The first 6 months were really tough. It was a very big change for me to make. It was almost like completely out of my comfort zone. Nothing was familiar. Um, nothing that I knew, nothing that I knew in the past was present around me anymore. Okay, so the first 6 months were really tough. Then things slowly started. Things slowly started leveling out. I started getting used to the place, getting used to the heat, the crazy weather, the dust storms, and then of course the crazy air quality index during winters, etc. I started getting used to these things slowly. And and now it's been when I moved here in 2016, I said, yeah, maybe maximum 2 years. It has now been 5 years. So my wife is from Delhi and her home is here. So now it's about, okay, this has become a second home for us now, and there's no real need for me to think, oh, I need to go back. I need to go back to Bangalore, anything of that sort. So having family around definitely helps. I think if you remember the video I shared with you, right? Belonging, uh, belonging is very important in life. You have to feel like you belong to something. That's why community, having a social life, having family around, having friends, these are very important things. And we are tribal as a species itself. Humans are tribal. We're tribal species. We have to belong to small groups at least. So these things slowly changed, and now of course I call Delhi home. I'm not thinking now, okay, another 2 years, etc. Now it's about, okay, if we have to and when the chance comes, and then we'll think about it. It's like that now. Maybe give it another 2 years, it'd be like, ah, we're not going anywhere. I'm going to retire over here. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the junior Rohit is going to become a typical Delhiite.
Yeah, so I was telling my wife this. I said, see, I grew up in Bangalore, so all the bad words I know are in Kannada or Tamil or proper British English, because Bangalore has very strong colonial roots. I said now we have a son here in Delhi, and he's only going to be here, only going to be learning all these Hindi bad words. And I was really worried. I said we can't allow that to happen. Of course, that was on a lighter note and a joke. But yeah, so it will be interesting for him, right? Because I grew up differently. I was schooled differently in a Catholic Jesuit institution. My wife did her schooling in a boarding school in Nainital. So now that now that we're in Delhi and we were thinking, okay, if we're going to be in Delhi and our son's going to grow up here, it's going to be such a different environment. It's going to be such a different education system. It's going to be such a different school culture. Are we going to be able to adapt to it? Are we going to be able to learn and help him also learn and grow? uh, it will be an interesting problem to tackle when the time comes. I'm guessing so. We've got about 2 years now. So I've kept that on right now. Where I've kept that at the side for now. We're just enjoying his baby face and all his chubby cheeks, his chubby thighs and arms. We'll deal with this problem of schooling maybe 1.5 years from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now. I don't know.
Yeah. And then the concept of solution selling will come into the picture again.
Yeah. So interestingly, right now, life is all about after lockdown. Everything is after lockdown. People have probably built a completely different. They've probably built completely different lives, dreams, goals for themselves that will all get implemented the day lockdown ends, the day COVID-19 ends. Next day onwards, my new dream is starting. So even my life has become immediately after Corona. I'm going to implement. So and then you have
Great,
to
Rohit.
realize no, this is life. It's happening now. You don't know. Will Corona end? We don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so true. Living in the present is so important. Like,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. Great,
So great.
Rohit. Was an enlightening session with you, and
That's good to know.
it's
That's good
always
to know. I was excited to do this. This is the first time I'm doing something of this sort. I always thought I'd just write on my own, publish, but I never got to publish. Um, but the fact that you reached out, etc. Firstly, I was quite surprised, and then I said, "This is a great opportunity. Let's see how it goes." I'm hoping we can do this again, maybe in the future.
absolutely,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
wouldn't want your channel to become stale with your viewers only seeing my face. We'll give it a break. We'll give it a break for some time. Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, catch hold of some other
we'll do
people.
it post
Maybe.
Corona.
Yeah, exact. The day COVID ends, next day only we will do. Next day only we will do. It will be a completely mind blowing, life changing conversation. Will be.
रोहित, all the Delhiites are waiting. Like, मैंने ले लिया है वैक्सीन, अब मैं थाईलैंड जाऊंगा.
Today I saw this. Someone posted on WhatsApp. Some guy is claiming that he took vaccine and his body has got magnetized. I
Magnetized.
don't know. You
Yes.
saw that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there are the number of memes going around. Yeah, vaccination. It's a serious thing. I really hope that the nation gets vaccinated quickly. We really need to get that down because I think second wave was a big eye opener for the country. I'm hoping we don't get into third wave now, but that's already being predicted. So I'm hoping we get our shots done by then, and at least a majority of the population is safe.
Sure, Rohit. So we'll be back again, guys, and take care, and do go
Thank
on
you
the
so
LinkedIn
much, Rishi.
profile to connect.
Please don't stalk me or something. Yeah, I realized so we've been connected for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and then you tagged me in two posts. Already, people, I'm getting follow notifications. I'm getting like notifications. So LinkedIn is slowly turning into like a Facebook profile for me. I'm joking. I'm joking. Really reach out. I would love to have a conversation, especially connecting with the younger generation. Um, because okay, if you're an aspirational leader, right? If you're now, I'm in my mid 30s. Uh, when I'm in my maybe if I'm aspiring to be a senior leader in my mid 40s or late 40s, I will have to solve problems for people who are 15 years younger than me, at least in experience or in age. So I like connecting with the younger generation, having a conversation. I'm happy to help. address any questions you have about career, work, jobs, how to search, what you're looking for, etc. I'm more than happy to help out. So you can reach out.
Thanks a lot, Rohit. Thanks
A
for being
pleasure.
always humble.
A pleasure, Rishikesh. A pleasure. We'll, of course, definitely stay connected,
Absolutely.
and we'll speak again soon. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Get your second jab. I think you got vaccinated today. You
Yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow is going to be a bad day. Going by experience. So the next day is really bad for anyone who's got a vaccination. So be careful. Keep the Dolo 650 ready. I think that's another standard prescribed. They give everyone a Dolo 650. Yeah, you'll need it in the morning. I would suggest take it tonight only and go to sleep so that you have good sleep. Mm. I mean, it's just paracetamol. Nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys.